Welcome back into the Proving Grounds. We're getting ready for our second series. Sam, were you not ready?
No, I was, just making some last-minute touch-ups. You know how it is.
Oh, yeah. Well, not really. I just get my tea. And I usually just put a suit on, and whatever suit I grab first is usually what I put on, and just kind of brush my hair to the side.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, but you know what? We got an exciting series that is ahead of us. It's going to be 100 Thieves Academy versus Golden Guardians Academy. After having witnessed FlyQuest Academy and TSM Academy going back and forth in that series where TSM Academy barely clawed themselves out of victory, I'm hoping we have another one going into the second series, and we're going to have something just as nail-bitingly close as that first series.
Well, both of these teams are really coming from entirely different places, Magical. I mean, we've got number 3 seed 100 Thieves Academy coming in to these lower bracket quarterfinals, the second round, versus Golden Guardians, who started off, I believe, 10th or 11th seed, coming in against them. And really, when you think about the trajectories of both of them, Golden Guardians have been on fire, it feels like, the last few weeks, and 100 Thieves Academy haven't been looking the same that they did in the regular season.
No, and Golden Guardians Academy, they were one of the teams towards the bottom. I believe them and Evil Geniuses Academy were both tied towards the bottom of the standings in the spring split. And look at both of them. They were looking so fantastic going into Proving Grounds, and it's looking like they're nearly unstoppable. In fact, Golden Guardians Academy are a team that, when on paper you look at them, you'd be a bit surprised. They're usually down at gold and 15, but they keep having these skirmishes, these crazy, chaotic games that tend to just go their way, especially because they like to fight, and you can see that from the first blood percentage.
And I mean, you could see the goal difference as well. Looking at both of these teams, they like to fight later on, but early, usually that's where they falter. 100 Thieves Academy and Golden Guardians Academy both usually don't find their footing until around the 20-25 minute mark, and then the team fights have become so good out of Golden Guardians, and I like to think that's because of the bot lanes coming out of both of these teams. When you look at both the ADs, I feel like both Luger and Prismal have shown incredible performances. Luger especially coming in later on into the season, and Prismal just a solid foundation for this Golden Guardians Academy team.
You can see that from their stats. They look nearly even between these two teams. It's crazy to see how these ADCs are so impactful for their teams, right? They're so pivotal for what they want to be able to accomplish.
I mean, the damage percentage alone speaks volumes. They're literally off by 0.3%. You don't see that very often, Magical, and the gold percentage as well. You could tell that both teams really favor the bot lane. They're trying to give their ADs as much as humanly possible. Luger and Prismal both playing out of their minds. I feel like Luger has had standout performances in the regular season, and Prismal, especially throughout Giant Slayer and the LCS Proving Grounds, has been just such a meteoric rise.
He really has. He's been absolutely insane. And so looking at how things have been, and Luger as well is one of these players that just kind of been looking amazing since coming in, I think, week 3 for 100 Thieves Academy, where he jumped in, and since joining into the roster, he just looked fantastic. He has been the player that everyone has been talking about.
It's really going to be a close match between these two, but how they draft around it is going to be a bit of a surprise, I feel like. Prismal, I believe, pulled out the Vayne, but that was in an earlier patch before during the regular season. I feel like it could very much happen again. Luger is more able to play the Senna style. He can carry on anything, but I feel like I've been most impressed with his Senna and the Beef Balls, sort of that combination going on for the team composition. It could work out for 100 Thieves Academy. In this specific matchup, though, I feel like the Tahm Kench and Senna line is going to be very pivotal. And I feel like Golden Guardians Academy are more looking for the aggro lanes, you know, the Tristana Rels, the Xayah and Alistairs, the things that we've seen all throughout most teams in the
That's not to say that Luger can't play those as well. Luger is completely capable of piloting the Kaisas and the Tristanas just as well. So that's the thing I think that gives 100 Thieves Academy so much of an edge, right? They have this ability to really kind of change things up where a style that isn't necessarily so concrete in the bot lane.
It really is the flexibility of 100 Thieves Academy that I love to watch this team. Like, anytime they do something a little bit different, I'm excited. And I feel like they're going to pull something different out today, but they have to go against Golden Guardians Academy, who really love their team fighting. And that in general just makes for an exciting game in a head-to-head.
And I will say this about 100 Thieves Academy as well. So far, every series that they've won in Proving Grounds, at least one, has been a 2-1 victory. The only loss that they have against Evil Geniuses Academy was that 2-0. Oh, no, Evil Geniuses Prodigy, sorry. Was a 2-0 loss that they faced. And so, if it's the same trend, if 100 Thieves Academy end up winning, it's going to be a close series. Or Golden Guardians on the other side, they have won 2-0 or lost 2-0. Similar to FlyQuest before.
Yeah, it's honestly just one of those teams that didn't look particularly impressive early on. Once the players got their experience, they were able to show up. And I feel like it's that scrappiness, the fact that they had to come up from the bottom and really rise from the ashes, that makes them such an interesting team. The fact that they can go in these 2-1s, maybe not play the cleanest games, but still come out victorious.
Hey, they took down Team Liquid Academy, the number 2 seed, in a 2-0 match. And then they beat Zeus Gaming, which was one of those underdog stories that everyone's like, Zeus are the team that can't be stopped. Well, Golden Guardians Academy stopped them. They stopped them right in their tracks and continued to press forward, only having dropped that first series to start off the Proving Grounds. I don't know if anyone really can stop them with this momentum that they've been able to have for themselves.
It's going to be difficult, not necessarily impossible, though, because 100 Thieves Academy, they have the answers. They just need the consistency more than anything else. I feel like throughout the Proving Grounds, the two that looked great in the regular season, in Kenvi and Tenacity, in the jungle and top lane respectively, have been really shaky. And I feel like that foundation being lost really does lend itself to a very difficult situation for the 100 Thieves Academy. However, they have found a lot of, that solidity that they lost in Damonte, who's, I think, been popping off in Proving Grounds.
He's been looking really hot. What was it, the other series where he played Orianna, got 10 kills on that Orianna, where normally everyone always talks about Damonte as being this assassin player. Well, he's been looking pretty hot on those control mages, despite the fact that he has that notorious record about the assassins on his name. So if he continues this, I mean, he's pretty much showing people why he is always mentioned in conversations. Why is he not in LCS? Why are they not bringing him up? Because he is showing here in Proving Grounds that he is a top talent.
And between him and Ryoma, I feel like there's just such a night and day sort of thing going on, where some strengths that Ryoma has, especially in control mages, especially in playing consistently, really doesn't apply in the same way to Damonte. He has pop-off performances. He's more of that, flashy mid laner that you see so often. And I feel like on 100 Thieves Academy, they're looking more for the flashy plays between him and Luger.
Right, and that can work out very well. They can end up being something that they can fall back to. But when you go up against a team like Golden Guardians Academy, it's like going up against Zeus. So this is why I'm going to bring him up. It's because when you have a chaotic team, when you have a team that's willing to fight scrappy, to play all over the place and try to make any risky play possible, sometimes it ends up working out for them. It's a coin flip after all. If the coin lands on heads and they called heads, well, they're going to be the victors.
It's going to be really close, but honestly, it's going to come down to how they choose to draft around teams. And I feel like 100 Thieves Academy have shown a pretty interesting draft. Like I said, there was a lot of more flexibility in the bot lane, but they also show a lot of flexibility because of Damonte. He's played the Renekton mid, and I feel like with that ability to be flexible and with the ability to pick melee mid laners as opposed to pure control mages, you have such a breadth of opportunity that I don't think Golden Guardians quite has.
No, it is going into Unity, who likes to play a lot of those control mages as well to try to keep some distance. So we'll see how they're going to be able to draft, getting ready to jump into Champions Select for game number 1 between 100 Thieves Academy and Golden Guardians Academy, starting it off immediately with that Gnar ban.
And Renekton going to be fired right on back. 100 Thieves Academy can use it as a flex pick. Both Damonte and Tenacity pretty good on that champion, so no surprises there. Udyr Hecarim still on the board. Tristana no longer on the board. So we're still seeing stuff that's very much within the bounds of what we expect on 11.6.
Well, and that's the thing. When you're on a patch for so long, you kind of get accustomed to a certain type of draft and certain power picks, such as that Thresh being taken away from Pum, not really wanting that to be that immediate first pick that they can latch onto. But same with the Rel over towards Chime, who's been loving to use that to be able to back up Prismal at every step.
And Rel is definitely going to be a big takeaway because Golden Guardians Academy also have a pretty strong Rel, but at the same time, Chime is one of those supports that, although has been playing a lot of the engage, I feel like has the strength to go elsewhere, can play more of the disengage, the Gragas's, the Threshes, even the Tahm Kench's, but since that's banned away, he might have to just stay standard here. Alistar is still available.
But I like that ban. You kind of talked about it before, that Luger has been going on to that Senna Tahm Kench bot lane. Well, there are still the options for fasting Senna that you can get outside of just having a Tahm Kench, but that does make it a little less likely to happen. It can still be a pick that they want to go for. With instead of going for the normal typical jungle picks, we have both Hecarim and Udyr left open. They seem to want to be able to get Damonte back onto this Orianna that he's been able to pilot so efficiently.
That's such an interesting idea for the first pick. It opens up Demonte for being counterpicked. It opens up the jungle support or the jungle pick over to Golden Guardians Academy, and the Kai'Sa's still left up for Prismal. So I gotta say, I don't know if I entirely agree with this from Golden Glue.
But the thing is, there are a lot of powerful picks still left open for both teams. Yeah, the Kai'Sa being traded over for the Orianna. Not sure if I'm as sold like you are, but it's still one of those things that you kind of have to say, all right, what would you rather have? Do we want Demonte to be comfortable into Yunbi, or do we want to be able to get that Kai'Sa for Luger, since we know Luger has been comfortable going onto so many different playstyles, different picks? Instead, they're just going to trade, go for the typical Hecarim and Udyr jungle trade. Orianna, I'm really wondering if they're going to go for the ADC here, if they want to lock in that Senna and try to see if they can really rely on that fallback.
They're really waiting for the bot lane instead. So Luger and Poom going to have their pick of the litter against Golden Guardians Academy. They already know that Kai'Sa's been locked in. They've taken away Yumbi's main strength in Orianna, so I guess that was most of the impetus for that pick. But still picking it early feels like such an interesting and different way of going about draft. Alistar going to be locked in for Golden Guardians, and I feel like they're going to aim the rest of their bans over towards Poom, who still has a few options available, and Nautilus specifically, as well as Leona.
Right, there's still some options, while maybe the top tier S supports have been taken away, even taken away that Tom Kench that can do well. I still think that maybe Senna might be the option that Golden Guardians want to find themselves banning away, just because there are different things that you can pair up with that Senna that aren't really things that you normally would think of. Normally, you're kind of thinking about the supports like Nautilus and Leona. Well, if you have Senna, that support actually does become a lot stronger that you can easily fall back to, and that'd be a great takeaway. Even though I do want to see if Tally might want to grab that for himself, since it does so well into something like a Scion. These are options that you have to kind of consider.
There are definitely options on the table. We talked about the Galio as well as an option for 100 Thieves Academy. I just don't think Senna is going to be the answer necessarily from 100 Thieves, because you want the Thresh Kench in order to keep your Senna alive. With the comp they've drafted, they don't have a whole lot of appeal. But as Golden Guardians Academy finish their bans off, they are going to take away the Jinx and allow the Senna through. So if 100 Thieves Academy want to go for it, they have the option.
Exactly, and I think as we get further in, well, Luger maybe not going for that Senna. Maybe Varus is the fallback that they want to draft for themselves instead, to be able to make it a little bit more comfortable for themselves in that laning phase, to be able to poke out something like this Kai'Sa. I'm expecting something utility like that to be able to really help out this team and maybe put Poom in a far stronger position, as Seraphine is going to be picked by Yunbi into the Orianna.
Okay, so picking into a weak lane, that's still fine. I feel like the top lane is going to be really telling out of Golden Guardians Academy right now. They need something that can tear through a tank, because yes, Kai'Sa will do damage late game. It just won't be enough to solo carry an entire composition, as we see 100 Thieves Academy going for the Caitlyn.
Ooh.
Okay, so one of the Caitlyn Morgana lane. Very interesting out of them, so definitely a old classic. Caitlyn has come up every now and again in season 11, but seeing it here in lower bracket quarterfinals, I'm surprised to say the least, Magical.
I'm a little bit surprised as well, because it's not like all the ADCs were taken away. That's why we were kind of going through the list of them. But I actually kind of like this draft. It's something that's not necessarily going to be easy for them to get through that black shield. They always have to worry about who's got the black shield on top of them. And Luger always is going to be able to win this lane with the Caitlyn Morgana and something that's so low range, such as Kai'Sa and Alistar.
I, however, am going to question the Nocturne. I suppose we do still have a game to play out, but the Nocturne into Scion matchup. Now, you do get a little bit of advantage in the early game. You are able to get a lot of kill pressure early on, and the roams are possible, but I feel like Tally could have picked something a lot stronger that scales a lot better into the late game, especially when you're against a team fight composition like this. And Nocturne just isn't going to cut the mustard, if you know what I mean.
I mean, no, because I really don't spend my time cutting mustard. That's a really
Fair
weird
enough.
thing to cut. I
That's you.
prefer cutting like bread or like a cookie cutter, but that's besides the point. We're here to talk about this game, and Nocturne top lane is something that we do see sometimes, right? We've been seeing it kind of crop up a little bit more, especially on 11.6, 11.7, seeing that he has that flexibility. But I'm kind of with you. It's The reason why I'm not necessarily as sold is that now you're relying on Tally to be that AD threat, because Kaisa will have that mixed damage. She's going to be just with her kit, have some mixed damage. A part of it, since Yunbi as a Seraphine really isn't your AP source anymore. You've made it so that she is going to be that secondary support to help out and set up the team.
Yeah, you usually draft Seraphine, as we talked about in the previous series with FlyQuest Academy and TSM Academy. You draft Seraphine when you have a secondary carry beyond your AD. So you have Kaisa, and that's great, but you need something else. You need something that's going to scale in the late game, particularly if you're a team that loves to fight late game, which Golden Gardens Academy definitely love to do. I feel like Tally doesn't have the same options he does as he would with, say, Gangplank, for example. I think would have been a much better pick.
That is true, but you know what? The skirmish, it could work out in that mid-game to try to see if it can beat 100 Thieves Academy before then. Try to see if they can split apart, divide, and conquer. We've loaded up for game number 1 in our second series of the day. We want to find out who's going to move on in these losers brackets quarterfinals to try to face off against Evil Genius's Prodigies.
Well, Golden Gardens Academy are definitely the up-and-comers in this matchup, and they've shown quite a bit of team fighting prowess. Let's see how they do when they don't really have a lot of easy CC to land. Yes, you can go in with Chime, Yunbi, and Rosethorn, but Tally's usually one to follow up with a ton of AoE damage, particularly on Gangplank, Ornn, and a lot of the team fight characters that you more often see in the top side. On this Nocturne, I have doubts, but it's not necessarily over for Golden Guardians. They still have a game to play out, and they still have a means of using this pick.
Well, the thing is, I even think that this isn't necessarily a bad composition. I just think that with this composition, it's a time limit that you now put yourself on. You have to be able to win by a certain time, and it's going to be difficult. The Orianna Seraphine lane is a shake of hands until eventually Orianna just does more damage than Yunbi. Bot lane, Morgana and Caitlyn. That is such an impressive lane to face off against. Sure, there's the trough that everyone always talks about with Caitlyn, but it's not as bad as it once was. It's only about that 1 to 2 items that you actually start having a lot more power. And look at this. Look at what Chime can do. It's pretty much negligent that they have this powerful bot lane of Kaisa Alistar because they can't even get near the minions.
Now, the one thing I fault Luger for, he started Q. That Piltover Peacemaker, not as strong as the traps.
Headshot, yeah.
Definitely like the traps a lot more.
That's usually the typical route that you want to go for with the Morgana Caitlyn, because the Dark Binding Cupcake Trap, man, that's a brutal combination to be able to really blow up someone and try to see if you can annihilate them. But it's already forced off Prismal and Chime, making sure that they're pinned down towards their turret and having to wait till the minions crash and actually going to be able to get anything. But this is actually kind of unfortunate for them. The minions, I think, were frozen just outside of turret range, which is going to make it that much harder for Prismal and Chime to step up.
So they're just going to be behind in CS. Hopefully Rosethorn can make the difference topside. I feel like there could be a cheese rotation coming in from the Hecarim, but he needs to make sure the lane is in position. Right now, Tenacity is just letting the lane crash into him. Nocturne does have early clear, and that's just going to happen. So it looks like Golden Gardens Academy, they don't have a good early jungle route unless there's some ridiculous play coming out of 100 Thieves Academy.
Well, the thing is, they're probably just going to power farm Rosethorn up to level 6, right?
Yeah.
Imagine the tag team of Rosethorn Tally together. How they can dive into the backline, Paranoia, Onslaught of Shadows combination. That's disgusting. And when you're a mobile like Luger, it's going to be something that they can really take advantage of to be able to try to get this bot lane that's going to be in a bad position for a while out of it.
And with that, Rosethorn just going to stay towards the top side. Tally coming in for the assist, just to make sure that there's no Kenvi assistance or interruptions to speak of, but nothing to worry about there. He was already on the bot side of the map, given the overwhelming pressure that Luger and Poom have been able to put down in the first 3 minutes of the game.
Sam, I forget who it was, but someone on a previous Proving Grounds broadcast talked about whether or not people in Runeterra eat scuttle crabs.
Yep.
And the thing is, we totally have proof of it, because if you look at Valorant, they have the scuttle crab shop. They eat scuttle crabs.
It's a delicacy. I assume it's one of those things with, you have many regions in Runeterra, right? So I imagine Noxus, absolutely. They munch down on that stuff. Bilgewater, 100%.
It's a crab. It probably tastes good.
Ionia? No. I don't think they do. I think in Ionia, they are full-class citizens.
I think they eat crabs.
I don't know. Yeah, but it's a crab.
Yeah, of course they're going to eat crab.
I don't know, man. I just feel like, Kennen is about the size of a scuttle crab. It'd be kind of rude if he ate one.
That's a huge meal for him.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, could work out, but right now, we actually do get a counter push coming in from Prismal and Chime, but unfortunately, now that Poom's shown up back into the bot lane, it's going to make it so that they can, at least if they didn't get that level 4, to be able to contest against Prismal. Oh, Dark Binding was able to sneak right through the minions, and look at that damage. Even with a level deficit, they're able to chunk at Prismal and force him away from the minions.
And that's just what you can do when you have easy access to that binding. When you have Morgana Caitlyn and against a melee support, you have so many options in order to do damage. Poom also almost denying the back, but not quite getting the positioning right. It's just so difficult for Golden Guardians Academy to get a start in this early game. And as you said, Magical, they're the ones on a timer. It's going to be so difficult if the timer starts going down because of dragons, which 100 Thieves Academy are starting to rack up.
But that's the thing, right? It's while they're on a timer, they still do have rough lanes that they have to contend with. They have to worry about the Orianna Seraphine handshake mid lane. They have to worry about the Caitlyn Morgana being able to bully around Kai'Sa Alistair bot lane. The only lane that's really going to have, at least until level 6, that priority is going to be top lane, with Tally constantly shoving in and wanting to be able to utilize that level 6 to rotate elsewhere.
They have options available, and you can see Chime already getting the early mid rotation. We'll be able to pick up that cannon. That's actually pretty huge, but otherwise doesn't get a whole lot out of it. Chime is just going to have to relegate himself, going to the bot side, helping out Prismal, and making sure Luger and Poom don't have free reign, which unfortunately, I don't know that he has much agency in that decision.
Neither do I. Just kind of seeing what they can be able to get themselves. I like this, that we're starting to get some of these recalls off for players. You get the Bramble Vest that was completed by, well, just Bramble Vest, but that's enough to be able to make it difficult for Tally to constantly push him in. He doesn't really want to fight, even though he has a bunch of those biscuits stored up. Not really the fight that you are looking for, right? You're not going to really try to kill a Scion. It's a Scion, even if it's early into the game. He's got good base damage. He's going to be fairly tanky with the shields, and if he times it right and he's able to get rid of your spell shield, he's going to be able to get a long knockup.
And that's one of those things you have to worry about when you're drafting, is whether or not you have mixed damage going in against a Scion. Because yes, you can have an early pick like Nocturne who can get damage down, but if you have an AD jungler as well, he can just build Bramble Vest and suddenly neither of those picks do anything. And you have to hope that Yunbi builds some damage or Prismal's able to get an early rotation. And usually that doesn't happen, Magical. I feel like more often than not, 100 Thieves Academy, in the situation they're in, do take away the early and mid game.
It's especially not going to happen when you have the Seraphine Orianna lane, right? It's not like you're going to be able to clear out just as even faster than Orianna to keep her shoved in. She can clear out the minion waves so fast herself, so you're not rotating around the map. You're not being able to impact these side lanes to tag team with Rose Thorn and Tally like you normally would want to. Instead, you're pinned down to the mid lane, waiting it out, waiting until finally you have that power where you have someone either overextend or Rose Thorn and Tally are able to tag team together to move into another lane.
It's going to take a while, though, just based on how long they've been in lane thus far and how little of a push they can get. Tally, however, has been pushing forward, and I feel like that's going to be the deal maker of this comp, is putting Tally, getting the gank onto DeMonte along with Rose Thorn. And maybe that makes the difference. Maybe those early kills do add up, but for the moment, it feels like Golden Guardians Academy are just playing passive, and that's not what they should be doing.
Such a rough bot lane. That's the thing, isn't it, Sam? It's like they're playing passively. They're on a time limit, but what can you do here? You're constantly pushed in. You try to go for the headbutt pulverize, and then a black shield is there. So you got nothing onto Luger. He's just getting more damage onto Prismal, and they even have Kenby just in case they want to be able to set up a dive.
And maybe this was all set up by taking away the Orianna in the first pick, just making sure Yunbi has to go on something uncomfortable. And because you've already shifted that, comfort level for Golden Guardians Academy, that it just kind of tilts all the way off. And as you said, they're on a timer. They also can't play the early game particularly well because of the draft that they have. I'm not seeing the strengths yet, Magical.
Neither am I. I'm still kind of waiting it out, and I feel like there were other picks that they could have fallen back to. Like, I know that Yunbi's played Rise, and that's something that's actually been banned quite often against them. Something that they could go towards. I think that Fate was left open. There are some options, but I feel like they want to set up Prismal. This is someone we talked about so heavily before, and we've seen him in Academy do so well. You can see why they want to build a comp around him. Make sure that this Kai'Sa is going to be a hyper carry into the mid to late game. They're relying completely on his capabilities to be able to contend against Luger.
But all that's predicated on Rosethorn being able to get a setup, and thus far, the lanes that he could have gone to, top and middle specifically, just haven't been able.
What are you doing here?
Wait,
why are you
up.
here?
Excuse?
Okay, headbutt pulverized encore. Look at the damage on top of him. They have the Dark Binding not connecting into the Black Shield, but First Blood is gifted over to Chime. TP Paranoia combination. Looking to see if they can join in on top. Right onto Boom's face. Damonte trying to be able to get away with all 5 members of Golden Guardians here. And this is the fight they wanted. It's a double kill for Tally.
I have questions again, Magical. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't know what Kenvi was doing that deep into the jungle, knowing that Chime was missing, knowing that Tally was roaming down. There's a lot of mistakes that 100 Thieves just made in that one instance. And Golden Guardians Academy, credit to them. They capitalized. They showed us what they can do with this composition. But it doesn't feel like they were the ones that necessarily made that play. They were the ones that reacted well. And they did react well, but it wasn't really their call to make.
Sometimes that's how it is. You got to be able to react perfectly. But yeah, why is Kenvi there? He gets bounced around for so long, and Kenvi's in the perfect position. It just makes no sense. And then everyone else trying to save Kenvi, they were trying to save Private Kenvi, get him out of there. It means that they put themselves in a bad position, so it's an easy follow-up coming in from Golden Guardians.
And I like Tally using the Paranoia and then teleporting in order to get the second part of Paranoia down. Definitely a smart move. It does also split up the team a lot more on the side of 100 Thieves Academy because, well, they can't really see. And therefore, Golden Guardians Academy were just able to walk on in, take every pick one at a time, and come out on top. So right now, they find themselves still at a gold deficit, but it's about even, and that's much better than it was a couple minutes ago.
Exactly. At least they're making sure they're staying even when it comes to these mid-game team fights, the skirmishes that they're going to try to set up for once more. They're waiting till that Paranoia and the Onslaught of Shadows are both off of cooldown, same with Encore. Rinse and repeat, that kind of style. Now they actually have a lot more strength to be able to invade, even if they are even on gold. Where's all the gold, Sam? Where is it?
It's a good question, Magical. Right now, the gold.
I know where it is.
Do you?
Don't know where it is?
Find the gold.
It's bot lane.
Play along.
It's all in Luger.
It is.
So it means that Luger has to be a part of these, and this is the thing. We kind of talked about Caitlyn. She doesn't have as bad of a trough as she once had, but she still does have that trough. And if she's not going to be able to join in these fights, or though if they get the kill like that and gift it over the Luger, now you're getting them out of that trough.
Magical, I feel like we're seeing the Academy special again, and let me tell you, I'm excited about it. I love it. I love when the team is able to pull out from a mistake. It definitely shows improvement on both sides, but at the same time, gotta emphasize how that was a bit of an over-rotation coming in from Tally staying in the top side of the river when he really should have been thinking about maybe joining his team.
Had flash too. There was always the potential to be able to get out of there, but now with that kill given over to Luger top side, look at this lead that Luger has over Prismal, right? Look at the CS difference between the two of them.
True.
40 CS that separates the two ADCs, really where Golden Guardians want to be able to rely on Prismal to be that hyper carry into the late game if necessary. Well, it's going to take a long-ass time before this Kais is actually going to be useful.
Sure is, but you know, at the same time, Golden Guardians Academy do have a bright spot in Yunbi, who's actually stayed even on CS against Amante when we've seen this lane before, Magical, even today, and that lane did not go that way. The fact that Seraphine can keep an even lane, still farm up and handshake, that's definitely putting them in a very nice spot because it means they can scale more into the mid game, get these fights off a little bit better, and maybe Yunbi can make a difference with that encore.
Well, that is the thing, right? When you look at Seraphine and how she wants to be able to play, you need to be able to help out in any of these ganks. And that invade, getting 2 assists early on, gave a little bit more gold over to Yunbi to not feel quite so pressured against Amante.
And that lack of pressure means that Yunbi was able to just take an early back, get back into lane, not even use the teleport, and even with that, Moonstone Renewer is completed, so the next team fight that happens, likely around the next Rift Herald, is going to be pretty impactful from the side of Golden Guardians Academy. They just need to use their teleports properly, and Tally needs to be in position.
Now, I do need to see them also getting better control of these objectives. You already have 2 dragons picked up by 100 Thieves. And like you said, probably going to be a fight around that Rift Herald, meaning that Golden Guardians have to grab that. They need to be able to get themselves some gold since a lot of that plate gold was put into the proper pockets of 100 Thieves. Luger's already gotten that Kraken Slayer completed.
I like that coming out of 100 Thieves Academy. I also like the vision that they've managed to put down. You can see bottom river as well as top river coming down to make sure Golden Guardians Academy have to go by vision in order to start an objective. So right now they're going to take this Rift Herald. They're going to spot out this control ward, but at the same time, that's time bought for 100 Thieves Academy. might make the difference.
Just a little bit of difference. 100 Thieves Academy starting to rotate the players towards this Rift Herald pit, trying to see if they can get within range. They even had Tenacity kind of hovering around just in case you need to be able to use that unstoppable onslaught to be able to dash his way all the way across to be able to join in before Tally's TP combination with that Paranoia can help out.
And with that, Prismal just gets more time to farm up in the top side. You can see how the lanes have been split up so far. Tenacity does have the teleport, Tally does not. And I think that does make an impact when it comes to this Rift Herald. You can see Prismal trying to push out the wave, but he's always going to be behind Luger, especially at this phase in the game. As you said, the Mythic has been finished, and it will, in fact, be hard to push against the Caitlyn at any point in the game, even if you are Kai'Sa. Pretty
much you're more going to be that tool for team fights. You're going to be there to help back up Tally diving into the backline. Same with Rosethorn. Moonbeam's just there to be able to give a shield and a good encore and then job done out of the Seraphine. But unfortunately right now, we're not there yet. We're not there towards that good skirmishing, even wombo combo dive that Golden Guardians can set up for themselves, which means that 100 Thieves Academy, with a bit of a lead here in the mid game, had full control around the pit topside since they still have Luger and Poom hanging around, trying to see if they can crack yet another tier 1 turret for themselves.
They're going to be able to get it. Kenvi is hovering around. I don't think he needs to use it in order to get the tier 2, but does have the Rift Herald for the tier 1. The tier 2 is available, and it's looking like...
They could use it.
Yeah, 100 Thieves Academy are just going to go for it. They're going to use the Rift Herald, but play being made.
Nice flash out of Damonte to make sure that he was not feared by Rosethorn towards Chime.
Definitely a great reaction coming out of Damonte, as you would expect from a very veteran mid laner, able to get a lot done, and making sure that the Golden Guardians are still just eating up their timer, still waiting on that big play to be made.
As right now, unfortunately, Yunbi is the one to try to answer this Rift Herald push, meaning that is going to be a secondary charge, and this time it's onto an inhibitor turret. While it will be a trade for that dragon, that is a lot of pressure that 100 Thieves Academy have now put on to Golden Guardians inside of their own base.
It's a big deal that it got lower than 2/3, means that tower is not going to heal up past about 1100 health, and that's going to be pretty easy to knock down should 100 Thieves Academy ever go back there, which I assume Tenacity is going to be hovering around that top side for a while more.
Yeah, but then again, it's also a Scion, right? Not really known for his split pushing, at least not when it's going the take route. You want that lethality Scion if you're going to be split pushing.
Well, I'm just a little sad we haven't really seen a whole lot of that in Academy, or in the Proving Grounds at the very least. I feel like, although it is a little cheesy, it has a lot of potential. It can get a lot done in the early game, and if you want to skirmish, man, can that thing skirmish.
I did watch it in one game where I got a cast where someone actually played Lethality Scion with Prowler's Claw. It was wild. It was so wild.
It's just so much damage that you don't expect, and once you kill him, that's not even the end of it. It gets worse.
Exactly. You just see him like either charge the turret and deal way too much damage to it, or he charges into the fight and does way too much damage.
And then he dies, and then he just beats you to death. There's nothing you can do about it.
No. Well, right now, we don't have to worry about that. It's just typical tank Scion. You know, as you can see from the items being completed, most mythics have been picked up by most of the players on both squads. Unfortunately, poor Prismal still working towards getting more gold in his pocket, still at that hole, and you can see how it's translated for Luger, having nearly a full item now over Prismal with this Caitlyn.
More than a full item. You can see the rapid fire cannon has been completed, as well as the Kraken Slayer, so it's looking pretty darn rough for the bot laners.
Yeah, I'm betting that Prismal has a lot of gold still in the pocket. Yeah. That's the only reason why I say it's at least a full item.
Yeah. I don't know how much Luger has. I assume he just recently backed in order to get that at around 18 minutes, but he is CSing incredibly well. Not quite as well as Damonte, but more than enough of a gap in order to make the difference in the next team fight, which Dragon should be spawning pretty soon.
No Dark Finding, no Black Shield. They have Paranoia.
Alley.
Luger's the target, and they've taken him down, giving the gold over to Prismal with a huge encore onto so many members of 100 Thieves Academy. They've ripped them apart with the flash.
Prismal.
It's a double kill for Prismal. Tenacity trying to be able to get away. He's slowed down. They can chase him if they want to. They got the turret. They've got the gold. Golden Guardians Academy have the fight.
The big difference in that fight, Magical. Damonte was nowhere near, did not have the teleport, wasn't in mid lane, instead decides to push the bot lane, and Golden Guardians Academy collapse at the perfect opportunity. They get 2 kills for their troubles, they don't lose anyone, and the turret goes down. Overall, this timer, I think, is starting to really tick off.
That it is, and we did talk about that. This is when Golden Guardians want to fight, and Luger just too far out. That was a nice flash combination. The Black Shield was way too late.
It was, and that's just the problem that you have when running against an Alistar. The damage is surprising. It's not enough to crack the Black Shield, but it is enough to do significant damage to it. And when you're against an AD threat like Nocturne, he's going to dive you regardless of what you do. And the Black Shield, not going to mean a thing.
Not at all. And now, even though the gold is even between the two squads, the fact that you have Prismal picking up 2 kills in that fight, no longer at quite so large of a deficit against Luger. You can see still about a half an item behind. But that is far better than being a full item.
Very true. And with that, at the very least, Golden Guardians Academy buy themselves a little bit more time, which they absolutely need. Dragon going to be coming up hopefully soon for the side of Golden Guardians Academy. They want to start earning these dragons, get towards that Ocean Soul, and maybe they'll be able to buy into a late game and get the skirmishes that they need.
Golden Guardians are setting up a lot of vision control around this top half of the map. Nothing really to fight on the bottom half just yet.
Dragon's
not going to... I think it's going to spawn in a little bit, but now, Shockwave with some
Oh,
birds
wow.
by Demonte, they've just got a nice dive.
And the split coming in from 100 Thieves Academy is not working out. There's always a member that's just off to the side, and whether Golden Guardians engage on the rest of the team or they engage on that side member, it seems to work out for them. They're finding these opportunities that 100 Thieves Academy are just leaving wide open.
But right now, we see that there is a bit of a problem, that even though they're getting these kills, they're not necessarily getting the plays to be able to get the objectives. A fight was attempted by Golden Guardians Academy in the mid lane. A lot of damage was thrown back onto that tier 1, forcing Golden Guardians Academy away, even though it seemed like they might have had the nice flank to be able to find the fight.
But now 100 Thieves, they're pushing up towards this mid side. We'll be able to get that. But looking at the replay of that pick on the top side, it's just rotating 2 members over. Demonte is not prepared without his flash, and he just falls victim to the 3v1 dive. UMB, even though he's not a damage carry per se, still has enough damage to take out the Orianna.
Exactly, and that's really all that is needed to be able to take away Demonte, the one that had TP, and Demonte having used that TP to try to be able to get into these side lanes and deny more gold going into the pockets of Golden Guardians Academy. But I still want to kind of reflect on that. Even though it is a nice dive out of Golden Guardians Academy, they're playing this typical chaotic style that we were applauding them for before. We need to see that translated into elsewhere, into more of these turrets, into more of these objectives. Having this Ocean Dragon that they could possibly fight over is a good start.
It's up, and look at both teams just circling around, trying to get positioning and vision. You can see 100 Thieves Academy are on the top side of the river. I feel like Golden Guardians using that bush will be able to make a lot more of a difference with the vision they've already accrued.
Chime is looking for this long flank. He is all the way by the red buff. Wants to be able to possibly use Blast Cone over the wall to be able to surprise to 100 Thieves Academy. All the while, Tally himself, too, trying to keep 100 Thieves Academy focused on this Nocturne. Worried that that's going to be the play. But they got Rosethorn in the back line, and they followed it up to burst down Luger. That's gone. The goal is no longer there from the 100 Thieves Academy. Boom. Might be able to get the Soul Shackles, but had to flash away, leaving. Can be out to dry. That is 2 kills. Tenacity now going to be the next target, and immediately eviscerated with the Dragon in the pockets. Could be stolen away by the zombie form, but it's not. It's going to be the second Dragon secured with a huge fight for Golden Guardians Academy.
Another big play coming in from Golden Guardians Academy. They capitalize on the split coming in from 100 Thieves. They couldn't take the initiative. They didn't use Tenacity to go in. Instead, Golden Guardians Academy used the Paranoia. They're able to get Chime into the back line, and Prismal just pumping damage the entire time means 100 Thieves Academy go down 1 by 1, lose objectives, and might lose Baron for that, Magical.
Oh, they definitely lose the Baron for this, and this is what I was saying before about Golden Guardians Academy, is their skirmish and their teamfight potential is really good, and when they can dive together, you saw that work out in that fight. Prismal and Tally, both of them immediately aim for Luger.
They just have good positioning at the start of the fight. 100 Thieves Academy, they don't know where to go. They see Rosethorn on the top side, they see Tally, but they don't know which way. You could see the directions being turned by Tenacity. He can't ult using the Unstoppable Onslaught. He has to wait until the rest of the team collapses. In Golden Guardians Academy, they find the picks they need, and they all focus on the same target. This is the team fighting that I love. I question Draft Magical. It seems to be working out pretty darn well for Golden Guardians so far.
Boom, unfortunately, also using the stopwatch to try to dodge away from Rosethorn means that Luger, the actual target, was completely left alone and afraid in the dark.
Not a whole lot you can do, unfortunately.
No, you can't. And now it's a 2,000 gold lead for Golden Guardians Academy.
This is just the lead that you get when you win team fight after team fight. Now with 2 Ocean Dragons under their belt, and Baron as well. They're able to push up the side lanes, they're able to push up the mid lane, and they might just be able to crack open a couple more turrets, which would help them out a lot. They're at a gold advantage for the first time in the entire game for Golden Gardens Academy, and I feel like they're going to just keep pushing that until they can't anymore. And 100 Thieves Academy, they're just trying to wait. I think that they can still wait. They still have a team fight available. They just need to get the good engage, because with Tenacity, you have so many avenues for getting that good engage.
I feel like it's going to be hard. Even if you do have that perfect team fight, you need Poom to be able to only get the Black Shield on the Luger. As long as you can do that, Luger is going to stay safe for a while. There's only a couple... Actually, there's only really one, and that's going to be Yunbi, who can crack through that Black Shield so easily. And as long as you have Luger way far behind, you don't have to worry about the CC that can be layered on top of Luger and make it difficult. Look at the damage that comes in from Luger when alive. You need to keep this Caitlyn in the fight.
He's going to be able to do a lot of damage, but that's just harass damage. In a team fight, it's so difficult to go against the amount of divers that Golden Gardens Academy have provided. Not only Chime, Rosethorn, and Tally, but Prismal diving into the backline is going to make such a difference. And keeping Luger alive during that, proven to be a very tall task.
And with this, Golden Guardians Academy, slowly but surely, are pushing their advantage onto these objectives like we were asking of them. Not only was it the dragon beforehand, but now these turrets, after they've gotten themselves this Baron, means that they're going to get more gold, more advantages, and continue to be able to push back 100 Thieves Academy, so they are not the ones to be able to secure some of these important upcoming objectives.
It's going to be difficult, but still not impossible. Golden Gardens Academy, they have the lead. They're able to get some more turrets under their belt. And like I said, they're just delaying the timer as much as humanly possible. And maybe even, if they get a good enough team fight around the base of 100 Thieves Academy, might be able to push in for something more.
As another turret falls, it's the fourth one picked up by Golden Guardians Academy. Means that they are well and truly in this lead. 4,000 gold that they've been able to balloon off of that Baron and off of that last team fight. On the side of 100 Thieves Academy, they still do have those options. They still do have really good team fight capabilities when working together. But we need to see them be able to have that all work in tandem with one another. It's not been so easy, especially because the whole idea of Golden Guardians composition was to divide and conquer.
And it's so difficult to do that against the likes of Tally, who's, instead of split pushing, been with the team. Damonte shows himself, not a lot happens.
I thought Damonte was like level 12 for some reason. I just misread that. I was like, whoa, there's a 4-level discrepancy here. I'm like, okay, never mind. Misread that.
That would have to be Poom and Tally, who have currently a 5-level discrepancy, but about what you'd expect support versus top laner.
Exactly. Not too out of the ordinary. But right now, it has slowed down just a bit. Oh no, Luger, you are far away here.
Tally.
Paranoia used on top. Tally's gonna die. Well, actually, he's gonna revive with the help of that Guardian's Angel. They've got so many here. They've taken him down. Rosethorn's gonna be able to get the fear, but nobody else is there. They can follow up on a Luger. They've got so many roots flashed away from the Encore, and they're making sure that Luger is safe. That's the important thing. Doesn't matter if Poom's died, as long as they can get this damage constantly coming in from the ADC Tenacity and 10 Finally, they're gonna be able to get the kill with the Killer Instinct. Triple kill, flash in to Monte. It's a double knock-up as well. They've taken him down, and it's finally the ace with a quadra kill on top of it.
But Prismal does go down at the end of that play, which might mean this doesn't end the game, Magical. It's going to be close, but I do believe Golden Gardens Academy are going to be able to get an objective off of this, maybe an inhibitor.
Should be able to keep pushing it, but you're right. I don't think that is exactly the end of the game. They don't have that Kaisa available. She did die in the fight, so they're having to peel back up, spend a lot of the gold they've gotten for themselves, but they keep winning these fights. They keep dividing, and unfortunately, even though Luger was relatively untouched throughout that fight, it just isn't enough.
Yeah, we keep talking about the trough being a lot less than it was. Well, unfortunately, he's in the trough about now. Luger just can't find the damage without a finished Lord Dominic's Revenge or any other armor-piercing items. The beef coming in from Golden Gardens Academy is too much, and it feels like Damonte, usually the focus. We can take a look at the replay right here. Tally, he's caught out. Just flat out dies. The 5-man coming in from the side of Golden Gardens Academy, or from 100 Thieves Academy, excuse me. And from there, it's just chaos. It's pure chaos, Magical. Damonte's basically out of the fight because he's down to 200 health, and it's free reign for Yumbi and Prismal, who can just continuously change targets, go to the members that are low, and take out who they need to.
Well, and that's the idea, right? Look at Seraphine shielding Prismal constantly over and over again. So even though you had that focus onto Prismal, there's so much health being drawn back in and so many shields being given over to Prismal to keep him alive for way too long.
It was still big that they took out Prismal, though, at the end of that fight. It meant the game couldn't end. And Luger's still putting out damage. He just doesn't have enough damage. And at this point in the game, that's just not acceptable.
Not at all. Like you said, needs that Lord Dominic's regards to be able to cut through at least Rosethorn. Rosethorn's gotten to that point where he's tanky enough, especially with that Randuin's Omen, to not worry about Luger's damage quite as much. And it gives plenty of time for Prismal to be able to show up, Killer Instinct into the backline to take down any target that they want to.
It's just a lot to deal with right now. Golden Guardians Academy, they even showed that they can buy time forever. Tally, it took, 10 seconds to kill him?
Black Shield again gets the fear this time around, and Luger, they're trying to jump on top. They finally take him down with a paranoia to be able to help out. Tally gets bounced around for a little bit of time, but it doesn't really matter, especially because Prismal has been able to get so much free damage throughout this fight. Shockwave only tracks back in.
Rosethorn,
double knockup coming in, and B's taken down by Tally. And with the heals from Yunbi, yet again, they make a dive happen and immediately can turn to Baron.
And the one problem I had with 100 Thieves draft in the beginning, Magical, starting with the Orianna. The Shockwaves are coming in. They're not hitting more than one member. It's only Rosethorn, and Yunbi is able to heal that up all the way. The pick potential coming out of Golden Guardians Academy's draft, stunning at this point. Luger can never stay alive. Kenvi goes down as well in that fight. And man, 100 Thieves Academy have been routed by this red side.
That they have, especially since it's so unfortunate that against them, they have to deal with a tripled up Ocean Dragon from Golden Guardians. That is so much healing on top of the healing they're already getting from Yunbi that they could constantly keep these fights lasting way longer than have any right to be.
It's just so difficult, right? You're Golden Guardians Academy, and you have everything that you need. You have positioning, you have dive, you have heals, you have tanks. Somehow Nocturne's able to stay alive versus the team of 100 Thieves Academy. So what is the option here, Magical? Well, you keep putting your eggs into the Luger basket, but unfortunately, it's way past Easter, and those eggs are going bad.
That they are. And I'm waiting to see if Luger's able to finish that Lord Dominic's right now. Doesn't
Not quite.
look like it. Instead, going for the Infinity Edge, a little bit more crit. But like I said, Rosethorn with that Randuin's Omen, making it so that's kind of useless. Not really going to take nearly as much damage, so Luger just waiting it out, trying to see if they can continue to hold out hope and hold out to any kind of prayer against Golden Guardians Academy, who have a Baron buff and can keep 100 Thieves Academy pushed back into their base with this huge minion wave in the bot side. It's calling over all the members of 100 Thieves Academy, so now Golden Guardians just rotate towards mid.
It's just such an easy play at this point for Golden Guardians. They have the Baron, they have the waves, they have the pressure, they have the dive potential as well, so there's not really a defense that can come out.
They're looking to see if they can dive into the backline yet again from Tally. They've already lost Boom, but Tally takes a little bit of damage, flashes away to be able to survive. They got the fear onto Luger, dodging him back in as well. And now with no carries left, only Damonte left. They have to see if they can get anything back, but I don't think they can. The minions are already there. 100 Thieves Academy pushed back into their fountain once more here, trying to defend, but they can't. Golden Guardians Academy gonna come out strong here. Game number 1, even with a huge shockwave from Damonte, it doesn't matter because the game is over.
Magical, I'd like to take back some words that I said about Golden Guardians Academy's draft. It was pretty good. As it turns out, when you find the opportunities that you need and you play extremely well, that Nocturne top really did make a huge difference, and I feel like Tally played it exceptionally well. A very good game out of Golden Guardians Academy.
Well, there was a timer on that Nocturne, and he was able to make sure that they got those early kills for the Nocturne in exactly the right position, where they constantly then could use Tally, use Rosethorn to dive and disrupt the backline. Even though Prismal was so far behind for so long, it didn't matter. All they needed to do was make sure they could hold on long enough for Prismal to be able to join into those team fights and get enough gold from the kills.
It really was just the whole dive composition coming in from the side of Golden Guardians. Yes, you had 4 divers, but at the same time, the Seraphine was really the glue that held everything together, able to heal up those people that got really low. You saw Tally going down very, very low at times. You saw Rosethorn going low at times. And Luger just had nothing he could do the entire time. You saw Damonte struggling to find a good shockwave the entire game. And the engage coming in from the top side, well, Tenacity never had an option.
Well, and that's the problem with having a typical front-to-back team fight composition against a composition that wants to dive. Well, if you have the tanks in the front line and they actually just completely circumvented that to be able to get to Luger, Luger's left alone. Nobody's defending him. Or they turn on to Demonte, and Demonte's left alone. Your carries now are completely defenseless.
It was just so tough for 100 Thieves Academy to keep Luger alive. They drafted this Morgana, which in essence should have kept him alive a lot longer, but unfortunately, there was so much ability to just go in onto the backline. There wasn't a force that could stop them. Yes, you had the unstoppable onslaught from Scion, but what does that really get you? That only buys maybe a second or two. It's not considered peel, and the Black Shield, well, we saw what happened with that.
That we did, and game number 1 goes over to Golden Guardians Academy. They continue their domination in the lower bracket. They will refuse to lose as long as humanly possible, trying to get one step closer to being able to get into the loser semifinals. But we're going to toss it to a break. We'll come right back to be able to get our second game of this second series between 100 Thieves Academy and Golden Guardians Academy.
Verizon believes everyone deserves the best. That's why we start with 5G from America's most reliable network.
Verizon 5G is next level.
Then give families plans to mix and match, so you only pay for what you need starting at $35.
You get so much more than this, a great network.
And offer the best in entertainment on select unlimited plans, like Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus, as well as Discovery Plus, with a Galaxy S21 Plus 5G when you buy one. There's no reason to settle for less than the best. Only from Verizon.